emergency switcher to Central Tower, over.
Where's the switcher at? Over.
Station departure heading towards the main line, over.
Main yard to main line. Proceed signal indication.
If you find yourself deep in the pine forests of southern Oregon, you may hear the lonesome call of a steam whistle filtering through the trees. You may see miniature trains hard at work, moving passengers and freight over heavy mountain grades. And if you find miles and miles of 7.5-inch gauge track that seem to go on forever, then you have found a little piece of railroad heaven known as Train Mountain. So, what is Train Mountain? Just ask any of the volunteers who work there or people who come to visit.
Train Mountain is the world's largest hobby railroad of any scale.
Train Mountain is probably the most unique hobby railroad you'll ever see. It is so diverse and huge that people come from all over the world to visit.
It's just so big, the whole concept of going for a trip away. We've been travelling for an hour and a half and we're just starting on the trip back now.
This is my first day, and I'm like a kid in a candy store. It's unbelievable.
It's just beautiful and it never ends because you don't know where you are, you know.
Train Mountain is located in the western United States near the community of Chiloquin, Oregon, an hour's drive north of the California border on Highway 97. The railroad sits on approximately 2,200 acres covered mostly by a forest of ponderosa pine, with some areas accented by quaking aspen, making this a very scenic location. With over 36 actual miles of track, Train Mountain made the 2004 Guinness Book of World Records as the longest miniature hobby railroad in the world, and it is continuing to grow. It attracts thousands of railroad enthusiasts from all over the world, from serious live steam modelers to people who simply enjoy a fun train ride in the woods. Train Mountain was the dream of one man, Quentin Breen. It started 25 years ago.
Quentin wanted to build an outdoor railroad, so he had been looking for property, and he heard about a gentleman that lived in Southern Oregon called Ed St. John. And so over some passage of time, they finally got together, and Quentin came up and saw what Ed St. John was building here in Chiloquin, and also discovered at the same time that Ed St. John was getting people to come from a fair distance to come help him build the railroad, which fitted right into what Quentin wanted to do. And so Quentin made some inquiries and discovered that the property next door was available and that sort of thing. So that was kind of the genesis of the thing. Ed St. John was already here, but Quentin was in that mode that's what he wanted to do.
It took help of many volunteers to make Train Mountain a reality. One man who has been there since the very beginning is 87-year-old Art Crisp.
I've been here for 28 years. I think it's helped me in my retirement.
When a train goes through a switch on Train Mountain, chances are pretty good Art built it. On a place this big, you might be wondering just how many switches has he made.
Oh, probably 700-800 switches, I guess, altogether. The first order from Quentin was I'm going to need 300 right and 300 left switches. And that was the first order. We put probably 200, they tell me 220 switches in the main yard here. And so I built all of those and built the yard, and it's just gone from there.
The Triennial is an event we hold every 3 years, by name Triennial, and it's an international event that people come from all over the world to attend.
And we get visitors from all parts of the world, from Europe, from Australia.
New Zealanders, we had people from the UK, we had
from Austria, from Switzerland,
Germany. On the largest day, we probably had close to 1,400 people and over 1,000 people every day for the week that the event was running.
It's great to see old friends and see different equipment and stuff like that. So it's a great event.
The Train Mountain Triennial is a huge event requiring a lot of work by volunteers to put it on.
We're now up to 300 trains. We're up to a couple thousand people. There's a work week just before it. That's the final tune-up, but we spend a year before it getting the track ready to the point where you can have 300 trains here and feel comfortable.
We try and get a little track work done a few days before and get the place cleaned up and get things organized, and then everybody comes and has fun.
Getting ready for the big event with a place the size of Train Mountain is no small task. Compare these dimensions to your layout at home.
It's approximately 2 miles wide and 4 miles long.
Train Mountain is in the middle of a ponderosa and lodgepole pine forest. And these trees shed a lot of pine needles and pine cones throughout the year. The local volunteers go out with hand rakes and rake it up into piles, and other volunteers pull their pine needle train out and gather up the pine needles and take them to the newly installed burn pit we put in, and we can dump the pine needles right in there. And this is where we get rid of our forest debris. And that is an ongoing job year-round, but usually in the spring is when we really have to hit it, because we have to have the track cleared of all of this debris to cut down on the fire hazards. This area is high desert, 2,200 acres. approximately 36 miles of track, 20 of which is main line, and it's all got to be cleared.
Every morning at 8 a.m., volunteers gather for a briefing on what work needs to be done.
It's a morning planning session and job assignment session, and this usually takes from anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour.
Visitors are encouraged to attend the meetings where those who are new to Train Mountain may learn some useful safety tips.
Remind your passengers on some of these long runs on a warm day when they get kind of drowsy, and especially bigger people like me, when you nod off on a curve, you become this large limp object and your center of gravity goes cattywampus and you turn the train over.
Are you speaking from experience?
Yes, I am.
And as soon as that meeting's over, people disperse. And it's just amazing how much a handful of volunteers can get done.
A work train has been dispatched to ballast a section of track downhill at Youngstown. Engineer Bert Newberry is at the controls of a pair of Baldwin diesels, pulling 2 air dump ballast cars and a tool car. The combined weight of the 2 rock cars comes to about 2,000 pounds. Conductor Leonard Halp tapes the action with his camera as the train eases down the long grade to Youngstown, which exceeds 1.5% most of the way. The train is equipped with air brakes, and Bert has made a 15-pound application to keep it under control to the bottom of the hill. At Youngstown, the crew waits for other traffic to clear and for additional volunteers before the ballast is dumped. A second work train soon arrives, and Bert is ready to dump the ballast. With these air dump cars, this can be done on the fly. Oops, we're on the ground. This gives the crew a chance to demonstrate how to re-rail the train for the camera. We are soon back on and ready to dump the second car. There, that's the way it works. While the track work continues at Youngstown, we move a few miles to the north, where another project is underway. Leonard and Chris are up from Australia. They are crewing a track panel train headed for Dam 3.5, where a brand new connector track is being laid. Let's tag along and watch as the panels are put in place. With a few 10-foot panels in place, Chris brings more track, rolling over the new rails for the very first time. It's a lot of work laying track. We'll check back in later to see how the progress is coming. To give you an idea of just how big Train Mountain is, let's take a ride to the current end of track at Hope Circle. We begin at Central Station. Larry Anderson of Salem, Oregon, takes his Erie 28882 triplex out for a spin. A position signal at the Pineville Depot shows a clear block as we head toward Grand Junction. At this point, the main track curves behind Crisp Yard, named in honor of Art Crisp. Here, visitors can unload their trains with help from Train Mountain volunteers. Ross Crawford of Citrus Heights, California, rolls out the Pennsylvania 4179, a coal-fired 040 switcher, which he built in 1969.
It's a switch engine, Pennsylvania B6 class. Took me 11 years to build it, and the caboose was a lot easier. The two cars behind it, the first one is a Pennsylvania GLA hopper, and they had hundreds and hundreds of these. And behind that is a caboose, one of the non-standard Pennsylvania cabooses. But the reason for the strange-looking cupola is because they cut them that way to go through the old tunnels in western Pennsylvania.
Ross says a locomotive is not a model, but rather a replication of the prototype, and burns real Pennsylvania coal. A total of 275 trains came to the Triennial. 95 were steam, 93 were gas, and 84 were electrics, like these beautiful Sacramento Northern box cabs. This is Grand Junction. It is here the line splits into 4 main tracks, each with a different destination. Main 1 takes you down the Serpentine, past the community of Little Falls. Main 2 loops you around the back shop and the main yard. Main 3 takes you to the Serpentine via Blue Caboose. And Main 4 loops you through Containerville to either the Fuel Spur or back to Central Station. Today, we want to explore the northern end of Train Mountain, so we will choose Main 1, the farthest track to the right. Every morning, the steaming bays are a buzz of activity at both Crisp Yard and the turntable. The ritual of firing steam locomotives brings the fragrance of coal, propane, oil, and wood smoke, all in the preparation of the day's run.
Start throwing coal in.
A Pacific is all steamed up and heads for the turntable, while a vertical boiler is being readied nearby. Train Mountain volunteer Bill Dobbs is in charge of boiler certification and checks out this unique locomotive.
Get her hot, too, while you're at it.
Another vertical boiler, an 080, is being prepared for a day of fun.
I started it too soon.
Back at the turntable, Cal Tinkham of Reno, Nevada, fires his Virginia and Truckee number 26.
You got engine number 26 of the Virginia and Truckee, an 1.5 scale, and it's a fairly accurate model of the original engine, and it's been running for 22 years now. Since I finished it, it's a great running locomotive.
Equally impressive is the auxiliary water car he built from scratch.
The V&T had 2 of those water cars. One was built about 1900 and one about 1902. And I like the looks of the car so much, I decided to build one. The water tank actually is built around a 8-inch plastic pipe, and it has baffles and heads in it, so I use it as an auxiliary water car for the locomotive and gives me an extra 8 gallons of water.
A doubleheader pulls off the turntable with its tray. The Strawberry Canyon Railroad number 24 makes its way from the turntable to a checkpoint before heading out on the main line. Continuing on our northbound trip over Train Mountain, we have made it down to Hairpin Junction. The track straight ahead would take us down toward Blue Caboose and the Serpentine. The main route curves to the right toward South Portal, the way we are going. Hairpin Junction is a great place to catch trains heading up and down the grade.